Welcome to Second Listen Saturday on the Parenting Roundabout podcast, where we share some fun moments from a past episode for your weekend listening pleasure. Look for new episodes every Monday through Friday.
Nicole, you have a visitor staying with you right now.
I do. This has been the year of visitors so far.
This is what you get for living in Southern California.
I know. Everybody wants to come. Yeah, no, we have my daughter's friend who is back here for her 4th summer, and wow. She is with us for 2 weeks this time.
And she comes from Canada?
She's okay. From a suburb in Vancouver, so not an extra long trip like our last house guest who came from Australia.
Right, yeah.
But still an adventure nonetheless. And so she's here visiting my daughter. We've known, the girls have known each other since they were 2. And wow. So she's back here again. And yeah, I was just kind of thinking, somebody had asked me the other day, having house guests and how do we keep them busy and what do we do and where do they stay? And it just is kind of like a whole thing. I mean, once you get into the routine of having people at your house, it's like, okay, time to change the sheets. You kind of like, there's this like machine that just starts up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, get the bedroom ready, get the towels out. Mm-hmm. Like this whole this whole thing that gets set into motion. And then, but the great part is this year is that my daughter is driving. So there is far less for me to do in terms of entertaining. So,
except to stay home and worry that they're
I've got them on my my GPS here. They're actually today they took the Metrolink down to Anaheim because they're going to a VidCon conference or convention. Yeah, and so it's for YouTubers and video creators and whatnot. So they got on the train at 7:30 this morning and went down to Anaheim, and so they're there all day. And yes, I'm keeping track of them as we speak.
Speaking of Anaheim, do you have to go to Disney every time somebody comes out?
Well, that's a really good question. We initially did that when we first moved here and started having guests here.
Yeah.
We would say, let's go to Disney. We'll take you to Disney. Well, yeah, that lasted once. Now we're like, here are the directions. This is what you need to know. It's part of our house guest repertoire is getting them to Disney and tips for surviving Disney.
There you go. Have a good time.
We wave them off at the train station.
We'll keep your spot on the couch warm.
Yeah. So we no longer do that, but that was definitely part of the repertoire. But we have our little, favorite spots that we, sightseeing spots around town and places that we like to go and eat, and it's this whole thing. So I was thinking, even though this is Ava's 4th year here, she still likes to go around and do those things every year. So
those are the California things.
They are, yes.
Got to do California. To say you were there.
Yes, we do go to the beach though. We always go to the beach.
Oh, you always go to the beach?
Yeah, we'll do a day at the beach in Newport.
Canadians like that, do they?
Wow. Yeah, they don't have beaches like we do. At least where I came from. And has to be a visit to In-N-Out Burger.
Oh, I love In-N-Out Burger. I miss it. I'll come out and visit you for that.
Has to be a picture of the palm trees. Got to include that.
Yeah.
The sunset. California sunset.
Right.
Yeah. Some Mexican food.
Yes.
The whole 9 yards. So how about you guys? Do you get a lot of house guests? And what do you what's your house guest routine? Terry,
do you get a lot of house guests, Catherine?
Not a whole lot. We get just family. usually. So we have hosted some family holidays and things. And, from time to time my parents come, or my brother and his wife live the closest to us. So sometimes they come. And yeah, I mean, it is some of that, like, okay, well, let's, like, because our guest room is on the first floor of our house and it's kind of near the back door. And so it's like the drop zone for all of the, like, school stuff and musical instruments, backpacks, in the winter coats and hats and all that stuff. So it be like my parents just came, they came while we were gone, and they, I had to like clear out that room so that they would have a place to stay, because it was filled with all of the last day of school. You know how when kids come home on the last day of school and so much stuff. It was all in there.
I think my daughter's backpack is still full. She still hasn't emptied it.
Yeah, my daughter hasn't, I'm sure.
Oh, she says to do it by September, right?
Well, just so you know, one time I did that and I found a banana that was...
Oh, dear. Ooh. So now you
just check for perishables. I recommend it.
Oh, wow.
So, so we do the requisite cleaning. And I usually, what I do though is when someone comes to stay, and then after they leave, I wash the linens and then I just put them right back on the bed. And then that way that's done until the next time someone comes. It's already done.
That's a good idea. Except if it's a really long time, do you then feel like they're kind of dusty and you should wash them again?
No, they're covered up. They have they have blankets and stuff on them.
Do you ever have this situation where you do it predictably, so you never have the question of, did I change the sheets the last time? This is what we're constantly saying. Well, it's been a long time. Probably whatever germs are there are dead. It's probably okay. Possibly for this reason, we don't get a lot of house guests. I think that might be a commentary on, that's okay. We'll find someplace else to stay. We've been in your guest room, Terry. Fewer and fewer people. Because we have a very nice, theoretically, we have a very nice guest setup, because we have a mother-in-law apartment downstairs where my actual mother-in-law lived for a while. And since then, we don't really use it for much. We have our treadmill down in the living room there, and we keep stuff in the refrigerator, so we have a spare refrigerator. But other than that, so it's like kind of going into genteel decline, the odd tile falling off the wall, the knobs falling off the drawers. There's a little bit of leakage in the bathroom. There's dust on the floors. It's just, I don't like going down there myself. And it's like, if somebody's going to come and stay, wow, we have this great guest apartment for you, except that it's going to take like 3 days for us to get it into a livable condition. Maybe you'd like to stay someplace else. So we don't really have anybody that would come that often to visit at this point. Most of the people we know live in this general vicinity. Sometimes my friend and her husband come and they'll stay overnight. They haven't done that a lot lately, maybe because it's disgusting. And also my brother and sister-in-law come up from time to time from Pennsylvania, where they live now, and we'll see them around town, or they'll stop by to give us something, whether they make the trip all in one day, which seems nuts, or they found other accommodations. I don't know. But they don't stay here.
But you're not going to ask any questions.
I'm not going to ask, because you know what? That's fine. That's fine. We will be the curmudgeonly family that just, allows our guest area to slowly descend into disrepair and
we've kind
disuse.
Of done the combination, because a lot of times when the family comes, a lot of them come. Right. So, and not everyone can fit. And in that case, we do have a hotel within walking distance, actually. Right.
Oh, there you go.
So that's really handy. So usually if we are having both generations, like my parents and my aunt and uncle, and then my brothers and sisters and cousins, then the younger ones stay with us. And we let the older ones have the comfort of the hotel. But that's kind of a nice compromise.
Yes.
And then, Catherine, you were saying in one of our conversations related to this topic that your son was asking about somebody more permanent or for a longer duration, like a homestay student. Would that be something you'd consider? Or
I am really not interested. I mean, I see the appeal of it. You know, it would be really interesting to get to know someone from another place and to provide them, you know, a nice home for when they're in a foreign land. And I do have some friends. I have a friend in Colorado who has done it a bunch of times where they've had someone stay with them. But I just don't think I could have a stranger, even though, of course, by the time they're gone, they're not a stranger. But, you know, someone staying in the house for that length of time, I would feel very, I don't know. I don't see myself as that, like, private of a person, but I just feel like I would feel like I'm having to be a host all the time. And
it's just a big responsibility to be in charge of someone else's kid, too. Especially a teenager.
Right.
I remember the French exchange student when I was in high school, and she drank. I don't know if the people she was staying with knew, but she did.
Right.
So I've often thought about that too. I see ads for it from time to time. I mean, we're right next to the high school. We're like next door to the high school, and we have this little apartment downstairs. So it seems like we would be the ideal setup for something like that. But I don't think my husband or my kids, whenever I've kind of tentatively mentioned it, have been, why would we do that? Are you ridiculous? And, you know, and then as you say, it's just like you feel like you're constantly on and you feel responsible. Are they coming home at night? What are they doing? You know, if they're in the apartment downstairs and have a separate exit, am I going to know where they are? You know, it just seems like, you know, then stressful. Again, maybe I will just withdraw into my little selfish family life and say, find another place, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think it's something I could take on. I would just I'd be too stressed. I'd be the same way.
And my friend who did it in Colorado several times, they had a couple great experiences and they had at least one not so great experience. You know, where the two of them were just really good about being easy to get along with and following the rules and you know, pitching in or just, you know, just being easy to live with. And then the other one was just a little, you know, she didn't understand, like when they said, you need to get yourself to school. We are not here to drive you. Like, that was hard for her to kind of grasp. So, you know, you just don't know what you're going to get.
You're really rolling the dice.
Right. I think you have to be the kind of person that is really just very laid back and things happen the way they happen. And
that sounds like us.
Exactly.
and really like extrovert, like a real like, people person, right? I mean, the kind of person who strikes up conversations with strangers all the time, or, you know, that's not quite me. But I mean, Terry, when you had your mother-in-law, like, that's a special.
How was that?
It was okay. It was nice that she had her own space, really her own apartment. I mean, we didn't have a locked door between us or anything. We, in fact, took the locks off when we moved in. But still, she had a bathroom, she had a bedroom, she had a kitchen, and she had a living room. Yeah. And she had very easy access to the laundry. So I could just kind of close myself up here. Plus, which, I mean, before that, my husband had been driving to his parents' house constantly to help them out with things. And so that was, then he was not home. And I didn't like that so much. And then my father-in-law passed away, and it was clear that my mother-in-law couldn't live by herself. And if she had, my husband would have been driving. He would have
been there all the time.
We weren't that far. We were like on opposite ends of town, so it wasn't like it was that far away, but it's still not home.
Yeah.
You know, and I also had felt like we had kind of outgrown the house we were in. There were some things I wasn't liking going on in the neighborhood. So, you know, it was like, we have to get a new house so that we can accommodate his mom. Yes, okay, a new house. That's great. So, or not a new house, but a different house.
Right.
So I was happy about it for that reason.
You were actually looking for a house. We
specifically looked for a house, yes, that could accommodate her, that had like a ground floor access for her and a place for her to live that would not drive me crazy. So it worked out very well. and was not as one might think. But I think mostly, I think if she had had a bedroom in our living space and been around on our level of the house all of the time, it would have been
that would be a lot different.
She could have her little kingdom to do with what she wanted, and we had our level.
Yeah.
And she couldn't go up the stairs very easily. So it worked out fine. My daughter would go down all the time and watch TV with her, which was very nice, except sometimes they were watching, Maury Povich and stuff. My daughter would come back up with stories about what she and grandmother watched. So.
Wow. Pros and cons.
Yes. It was nice having somebody in the house that I could leave kids with and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
That was convenient.
That's true.
Yeah.
Built-in babysitter.
So, yeah, to some extent.
Wow.
So, yeah, it wasn't bad. But, now that she's not there at that lower level, it's like we're living in half of our house still.
Yeah.
So I sometimes wonder.
Do either of your kids have any interest in making that their space?
Not at this point. That's what I thought. I thought, at some point she would not be there anymore, and then it would be perfect because probably the kids couldn't live by themselves, but they could live downstairs. They could have their own pad. It would be great. Neither of them wants to.
No.
They don't like to be on their own. They don't want to be on their own. They like to be sleeping on the same level as everybody else. They would be scared down there. So consequently, it just kind of sits.
There.
And how rooms are when you don't really go into them very often. They sort of
fill up.
Well, they fill up, but they also just get creepier. If you neglect a room long enough, then you don't want to go in there, and then it only gets worse.
Right.
So,
That is true.
that's kind of where we're at now. But maybe one day, if one of them gets married or something, if they want to live down there, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. Plus, my best friend, the one who helped clear off my desk and who goes on vacations with us, they right now live kind of in a downstairs apartment in his parents' house. And if his parents at some point ever are no longer in their house, they're going to come here. So it's like every time I say I'm going to have somebody move into that room, they're like, "No, that's ours. That's ours."
We need that. Save it.
Yes.
Well, that would
Don't make
be
any plans
awesome.
for that. That would be awesome. That would be really, really neat. Whether it ever happens, I don't know. But they're going to have to do some repairs when they move in. Clearly.
Well, she's already shown that she's good at that.
She is. Yes, she would clear that stuff out in a second. All my mother-in-law's stuff that's still there all these years later. Clear it out. Put it in a box.
But I think clearly, Terry, you are much more, you have more of an aptitude towards having people in your house. What Catherine and I would be.
Have I given that impression? That is probably not accurate. Did I mention that we are all on one level and she was all on one level and the two levels did not interact that much? It was sort of like an upstairs and downstairs apartment rather than in my house.
Still too close for comfort for me.
I feel like if I had that kind of setup, then maybe I could handle the foreign exchange student. I don't know. But I don't think I'm going to be finding out. So maybe that's just one of the parenting things that we fail at is
that's
opening
right.
our hearts and homes.